Really quick with President Scott Coker. If you guys have questions, please raise your hand and wait for the microphone. Actually, we have an announcement to make first. So
yeah, guys,
hold your questions.
Yeah, and we can get to the questions after. But, you know, we have some very good news. We were able to sign FEDOR to another multi-fight contract, and this will be his farewell tour. We will do fights in some locations we haven't been before. It'll be a multi-city, continent around the world tour, and I think this will be his farewell song. So look forward to seeing FEDOR fight in the fall, maybe closer to November or December. Location hasn't been determined, but we'll have something shortly. To me, FEDOR is the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time, and he's been a pleasure to work with. I consider him a friend, and for him to end his career here at Bellator makes me very proud, very honored, and I'd like to have him come up and say a few things. FEDOR?
День добрый, дорогие друзья. Рад всех приветствовать. Я хотел бы, конечно, поблагодарить Скотта. И мы заключили действительно новый контракт. Я рад этому событию. Скотт предложил мне выступать по миру. Надеюсь, что разные страны увидят наши выступления и увидят Bellator. Еще очень рад нашей дружбе. Более порядочного человека в бойцовском бизнесе я не видел. То есть я рад, что мы со Скоттом сотрудничаем.
Good evening, and I want to thank everybody for coming. As Scott said, we have been able to sign a multi-fight deal, which will have me fighting in new markets, and hopefully will take Bellator to new markets. I'm very excited about that. As far as our relationship, you know, there is not a more honorable man in this business than Scott Coker, and I'm very happy to be working with him, and he's just overall very happy.
Where's this look for you? Great, thank you. Next, we had a fight in December of last year. We sent Darren Caldwell to RIZIN in Tokyo. Didn't work out for DC. Tonight we had the rematch, and it was interesting. It was, you know, a little bit of a tactical fight, and there's a lot of strategy. I think that, you know, there's a lot of holding, a lot of you know, activity on the ground. But at the end of the day, Horiguchi won. He is a new Bellator champion, and he is a new RIZIN champion. And the person that made it possible is here, and that's Mr. Sakakibara. I'd like to just have him come up and say a few things about the co-promotion. Sakakibara.
Anyway, we are very honored to collaborate with Bellator. Mr. Scott, friend of mine, and we are competing with every event. I think we have to co-promote with this sports. For this sports, we have to create new challenge. Anyway, we are very happy. Sorry. Mr. Horiguchi has 2 belts. This year, he's very busy, but he can do it. and we want to keep relationship with Bellator. We will talk with next step with Mr. Scott. Thank you very much.
自分ですか？
はい。なんか喋ってくださいと。
英語です。大丈夫ですか？堀口教授です。
はい。Kyoji Horiguchi.
I'm very shy. I don't speak English. Yeah. Sorry. 今回はベルトールのベルトをしっかり取れて、すごく嬉しいし、すごく嬉しく思います。
I'm very happy to be able to capture the Bellator title today.
この機会をくださった榊原さん、スコット・コッカーに本当に感謝しています。
I'm extremely grateful for the two gentlemen, Mr. Scott Coker and Sakakibara-san, who was able to provide me with this opportunity. 両団体のチャンピオンとして。
この後も両団体のチャンピオンとして、しっかりベルト取れたので、今後のことはもっともっと考えて、で UFC とかどんどんクロスプロモーションをしてほしいなと。でもっともっとこの MMA 自体を大きくしていきたいなと自分は思ってます。
Now that I am a champion for both promotions, I'd proudly like to represent Bellator and RIZIN, these two promotions, and continue to fight the best in the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
大丈夫グランプリちょっと話しますか？いやいいです。今もちゃってください。前で。どうぞどうぞ。もし日本語でやるんだったらどうぞ。
And
ちょっとグダグダです。すみません。
お願いってなんて言った？
どういう意味ですか？
スコット。
I would like to ask.
Now, this year our plan in this October we will open lightweight Grand Prix. So could you please take part in our Grand Prix from Bellator, please? Thank you.
So starting in October, Sakakibara asked me earlier if we would send a fighter to represent the lightweight division in Japan, and we called around, and I met with my team earlier today, and we're going to send Patricky Pitbull to Japan to represent Bellator in RIZIN's next lightweight tournament. So it should be a lot of fun. I think the collaborations make a lot of sense. Just as a martial artist, man, I just love watching it, and I love the energy and the challenge, and it just makes the competitive spirit that much higher. And I think this is the way it should be. There should be competition between leagues. Why not? You know, some people don't do it. Some people have their own business model. I get it, but at the end of the day, I think that it would be great if things moved forward in that direction. Thank you, Sakakibara. Thank you. Congratulations, Horiguchi.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in October. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Sure, let's do it.
写真撮って。
It's a lot of hard work. Let's just open it up. I mean, it's been a great night of fights and a lot of different, endings and some great technical fights, some knockouts. Some people elevated their brand. I think some people took a step back. But that's just the nature of our sport. But let's just open it up.
Hi, Scott. I just want to wish you another successful event here at Madison Square Garden. That's amazing for Bellator and for martial arts in New York City. I'm Phoenix Carnevale. I'm from Everything Martial Arts. A couple questions for you. First, were you aware that this could possibly be Chael Sonnen's last fight? Was that something that you thought could possibly happen tonight?
No, I was actually caught off guard. And, you know, he's been such a pleasure to work with. And what a great guy and great family man. You know, it was something I think that he decided if he lost the fight or didn't work out, that he would probably retire, but we had no idea. And, you know, it was a pleasure to promote him. And he'll always be part of the family, part of the broadcast team, and he'll have a home here at Bellator.
The second thing is that it's really amazing to see cross-promotion. And we know that scheduling and marketing and markets are such a big part of when fights happen. Mm-hmm. So what happens for this division now, and when will Horiguchi come back to defend this belt?
Yeah, my agreement with Sakakibara was that once a year, Horiguchi will come and fight and defend his Bellator belt. But that doesn't mean we can't send fighters over there to fight in the ring and fight for the RIZIN belt. And I think that it gives us a little bit of time to, you know, have a couple more fights for our guys and you know, get in there and you know, try to get that belt back here on US soil.
Last question for you is, you know, DC originally had talked about how much the ring and the cage and the difference had affected him. Can you give us a little bit of your thoughts on what went wrong for him in this fight?
You know, it was an interesting fight. It was tactical. I think that he was controlling him, but you know, controlling and then doing damage is two different things. And really, in this business, I feel like, as far as like a martial arts fighter or as a fan, controlling is one thing, right? But you have to advance your position, continue to advance your position to go for the submission or go for the knockout. And that's really what the end goal is. So I'm not sure if DC got tired or what, but at some point his controlling just became control, and it wasn't any damage. So I think the judges looked at that saying, hey, he is just, you know, it's almost like stalling. So they gave Horiguchi the rounds.
Question for Juan.
Yo.
Right over here. You called out Horiguchi after you won, and Mr. Coker just said he didn't mind. He wouldn't mind sending some guys over there. So do you want to be the first one to go over there and go after the RIZIN belt?
Sounds like I'm jumping on a plane in October and going out there with Pitbull.
Is that, you like the sound of that?
Well, you know, it's again, you know, timing's an issue. And listen, I would love to have us fight on all their cards, but I don't know what they have, you know, in their plans, because Sakakibara and I have not talked about like who's on the card and what's. But if there's an opportunity for Juan to go over there and fight, listen, we'll take it in a second.
Question back.
For you, Dillon, right up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just, you know, longer fight than the first time around. I'm sure that cage experience helped you out a lot. Just how'd you feel about the performance tonight compared to the first time around?
I like the experience in there a little bit. It was kind of fun to like hit someone 100% too, like just go all out. So they kind of got me like in a weird mindset where I started going crazy and hitting them, and then I heard my coach say like jiu-jitsu, and then I kind of like switched back to like myself. But it was a good experience to kind of like feel that, because like the ref was saying I'm going to stop it, so I got all crazy, and then the guy had a second wind, and I felt like I was a little tired, so I was like, all right, you know what, you can't just go crazy like that. I was like, you're smarter than that. You watch MMA your whole life. Like, why'd you do that? So I feel like it was a good experience.
Yeah, definitely. And did you credit his submission defense more than anything for kind of, you know, taking a little while to get the finish, or was it just something you were kind of methodically working towards?
No, I mean, no. That guy's like someone I probably wouldn't even do a round with. Like, you know, my jiu-jitsu's another level. He was just trying to survive for his life, you know. He just wanted to say he lasted with DILLON DANIS. So it's hard when a guy just doesn't want to fight. He just wants to sit there and not move. But, you know, with me, you're going to get tapped eventually.
Yeah. What do you think makes sense for you going forward from here?
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. We'll just see. I mean, just keep going. Why not? I'm only 2-0. I mean, that guy had almost 30 fights. You know, people like to get mad at me for this and that, but that guy had almost 30 fights, and I only had 2 fights. I never fought amateur, nothing. So, you know, they'll see. Everybody will see.
Yeah, no, it's something we kind of talked about pre-fight, and I can transition to Scott asking a little bit here. The development of Dillon's career, and someone like Valerie, and there's the contrast to what happened with Aaron Pico, and a lot of talk about that. Just what do you see for Dillon's future, and how do you think is the best way to bring him along?
I think for Dillon, we would like to get him back in as soon as he's healthy and ready to go. And really, frequency, I think, for these young athletes. And when I say young, it's young in the cage, fighting in the cage for Bellator, because it's different. It's not like you're fighting on a jiu-jitsu mat and somebody's punching you in the face and someone's trying to hurt you. And so it's a different energy in there. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. But for Dillon, I think that he's got a great career ahead of him. I think that he's proved himself or proved to us that he can do it. And I think it's just frequency and repetition that will take him to the next level.
And just last thing for me, can you speak to Aaron Pico's loss? I mean, I think everyone knew Adam Bork's no joke, and he came in, Pico showed his wrestling, though. He kind of, mixed up the game plan from what we've seen, but got caught with a big shot. Did you speak to him after the fight, anything like that?
Yeah, I didn't speak to him after the fight. I'll give him a day or two to get back home and rest up. I'm sure he wasn't in the mood to talk to anybody, but, there's a kid that, had a great game plan. I think, Jackson had a solid, thought in how they're going to fight this kid, and for the most part, he did great. And then he just made one mistake. He got hit, and then then you guys saw the rest. So that's MMA. That can happen to anybody. So it's just part of the business. Now, I do feel like this though. Don't count this kid out. Aaron Pico, he is learning how to do this, and he's fought some tough guys, and like he said, look, I can wrestle and I can box, but I'm still learning how to fight. So we're gonna have a conversation with him in a couple weeks, see what he wants to do, but maybe it's time to take a big step back before he starts moving forward again.
Dillon, my question is for you.
Yeah.
You fought your last two fights at 175. That's a catch weight. Is the plan to go down to welterweight, or is the plan to move up to middleweight?
I kind of like doing the Dillon Danis way. I kind of want all the guys to come and fight me. So if I could do it, why not? Make my own weight division. Everybody wants to do it, but they can't. So I think it's pretty cool. But I can make 170. I think eventually one day I'll make 155. I don't even care about the weight classes or anything. I said I would fight Ryan Bader. I don't care. I came from jiu-jitsu where you fight anybody 7 times in one day. So size doesn't matter. I mean, men is like, let's just fucking do it.
Scott, you just mentioned that you signed Fedor to a long-term contract. He was originally scheduled to face Josh Barnett years ago. Mm-hmm. The fight fell through. Mm-hmm. They're both under your banner. It's been a long time since both these guys have been on the same banner. Any chance you match them two up?
That's definitely one of the names that we have approached Fedor, and he's fine with it. That'll be a timing issue. I'm not sure if that's going to be the very first fight, but I think we have a great roster that he can fight. And to me, I think of Rampage Jackson versus Fedor. I think of Josh Barnett. There's a couple other fighters out there that just come to my mind, but I mean, it's a multi-fight deal, multi-year, and then this is going to be his retirement tour, and I think that we'd like to take him to a lot of countries and cities that maybe haven't seen him in a long time, or have never seen him, and it's going to be fun when we roll this thing out.
And my very last question is for Patrick. Congratulations on the win. Very impressive debut. A lot of us believe that Juan Archuleta has earned the title shot, incredible knockout, but you just submitted a guy in a minute that went a split decision with him. Do you think there's any argument for you to get the title shot over him?
No, I think he's earned his title shot. He's had a lot of fights in Bellator. I'm still building and growing myself, so I seen that, right before I walked out, I figured he got his title shot, and Dantis got knocked out cold, so I was looking at, the next big name after I took out Ricky, and I'm looking at, I want to match up with Gallagher if he pulls through next weekend.
Question for Dillon. You and John Kavanagh seem to be really gelling together, but with him based in Ireland, you based in New York, do you think that you're spending enough time together to get the most out of that relationship?
I think so. I mean, we stay in contact almost every day. Me and Connor stay in contact almost every day. you know, fighting is not just all physical, it's a lot of mental, so those guys have both, and you know, I can learn anything, even over text messages. You know, when I was doing sparring for this fight, I would send it to them almost every day, and they would give me a list of feedback on what I was doing. So, you know, when you want something, there's a way to do it. So when there's a will, there's a way.
And finally, for Patrick, you mentioned you wanted James Gallagher next. If you don't get that fight, is the featherweight tournament something you'd be interested in throwing your hat into the ring for?
No, I'm interested in staying at bantamweight, to be honest with you. I make the weight pretty easy, and I'm trying to climb to the top of the division myself.
Cheers. Thank you.
How's it going? First question's for Patrick. You were a guy that was one of the most highly touted prospects on the regional scene. You were constantly campaigning on social media to get signed by a big promotion. I guess my first question is, what took so long? I mean, we saw what happened tonight. You know, what made you sign with Bellator? Why did you choose them?
When I got offered, I felt like Bellator was the best decision. My manager, Ali, you know, he sent me a few different choices, and I liked the Bellator route. I liked how the bantamweight division looked, and I liked how I can build. So when I got offered Ricky, I was very excited to, you know, really make my mark here.
Yeah, and you went out there. You went out there and got the quick win. I mean, do you feel like you're jumping, no pun intended, you're jumping right in the mix here at 135 pounds? I know sometimes prospects need to build, but I mean, you've won 11 pro fights, 10 amateur fights. I mean, you feel like you're a couple fights away from the title shot at this point?
Yeah, I won 11 as an amateur, 11 as a pro, 22 straight, and I'm not really a prospect anymore. I feel like I'm right in the mix here, just like you said, and I deserved to be here a long time ago, so I really made the most out of my opportunity here.
My next question is for Juan. Juan, you know, you just said that you want Horiguchi next. If he is out for a while, if he is defending his RIZIN belt, is there anybody else that you would, any other names out there that you would want? Would you sit around?
Step your ass up, man. I'm here. You know, you have my belt. You have the Bellator belt. You know, who else is he gonna fight in Japan? You tell me. Who else comes to mind with a 18 fight win streak now, just dominating in and out of every fight I've been in. Only lost one round in my whole career. Only been taken down once in my whole career. Who else is he gonna fight that's gonna bring some excitement to the table?
My last question's for Scott. Scott, you're always one to explore options, you know, think of new ideas. Seeing Kyoji Horiguchi tonight, you know, a smaller, very exciting fighter. The UFC's been cutting a lot of their flyweights. Have you ever thought about bringing in a men's flyweight division into Bellator? Is that something that you've explored at all?
You know what? We've talked about it, but we haven't, you know, taken any action, obviously, and you know, I think that for right now we're going to focus on the divisions we have. We're very excited about the finals of the welterweight tournament, and we're very excited about the launch of the featherweight tournament. So we're gonna have our hands full with these events. And this is a company, when I came on board, I think we're doing like 14, 15 events a year. Next year, we're gonna end up being 30 events worldwide, and could grow up to 40 very easily, depending on certain television deals we're working on. Again, this is a company that's owned by Viacom, which has networks all over the world, and is a media company all over the world. So, you know, we have a lot of requests to come to different territories, start doing big fights like we're doing here. So we're going to have our hands full, and if at some point, you know, we felt like it was something we wanted to do, you know, we'd really think it through, because I don't want to be jumping in and out of like different weight classes, and you know, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right.
Guys,
Thanks, guys.
Let's do two or three more questions for the fighters, and then we'll allow them to leave for the evening. Starting with Danny Segura.
Question for Juan. Where would you rank this win in your career? You have several wins, but obviously you're a winner or a former world champion. Is this the best win in your career?
Yeah, I said it before. This was the biggest fight of my life. Two-time champion. You know, never fought anyone that had those type of accolades for Bellator before.
And how much would you attribute your recent success with training with someone like TJ Dillashaw? You know, championship caliber.
TJ Cub, Joe Stevens, TJ Cub, Joe Daddy Stevenson, Tiki Gosen, Paul Herrera, and everyone else I trained with. They've helped me grow tremendously, and you've seen it in just my Bellator fights alone. You know, we're title ready. They've been helping me out my whole careers since the beginning. You know, I've taken their advice, I applied it to my career, and look where it's got me right now.
And a question for Dillon Danis. Dillon, you survived the Drake curse. How does that feel?
Yeah, I know, I was a little worried about it before, and he asked me, I was like, oh shit, you keep reminding me, but no, like I said, man, there's no fucking such thing as curses and all that, but I feel like it's kind of cool to be the first person to kind of debunk it, so yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then one last one. I know you were in suspension, and you told me that was killing you because you couldn't compete. Yeah. What can we expect from you in 2019? How busy are you looking to stay?
I'm fine now. I mean, I wouldn't mind to go again, like next weekend. Doesn't matter. I'm used to competing in jiu-jitsu almost every weekend, so yeah, just keep going. Finally get the suspension past me, and just keep doing it, you know.
If Toronto won, doesn't that make them the second?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, no, it's only a fighting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to ruin it, man. I don't know who said that, but
fighting, yeah, my bad.
Let me have a moment.
Anyway, just to wrap it up, the welterweight tournament will end with Roy McDonald fighting Douglas Lima, and that will be sometime in September. And then we'll also launch our featherweight tournament sometime in September. So we're not ready to give you guys a date yet, but we'll have 2 weekends, probably a couple weeks apart in September, that will launch those 2 events. So we'll have some news shortly on that. Other than that, this is a great night of fights. It's a lot of fun to be here. New York's a great city. We love coming here. We love throwing some great fights, and you know, we'll see you maybe next year. Thank you.
There you go.
All right, Chael Sonnen. We'll start right here with Mike Vaughn.
Mike.
Chael. Congratulations on a great career.
Thank you very much.
Did you know coming in tonight that if the result didn't go your way, this would be it for you, or was that something you made in the spur of the moment?
No, that was no, I didn't have that planned. I thought I was going to win this fight. I was going to call out Ryan Bader. Everything was going my way until it wasn't. But I don't regret it. You know, it was a #1 contenders match, and I thought it was a big opportunity, and it was. And it's somebody else's turn.
What factored into this ultimately? I mean, I know you got tons going on outside the cage, you know, analysts on multiple platforms. It seems like it'll be a very smooth transition for you, but what was kind of the general reasons behind you wanting to do this now?
Well, you got to be tough. You got to be tough in this sport, and I feel like I used all my toughness up. You know, there was some positions in there that before in my career I walked right through them, and I didn't mind losing to him in his spots, like, you know, some of the stuff on our feet and those jumping knees and whatnot. But I did mind losing to him in my spots. He was on top of me. I didn't think he'd be on top of me. I thought I could have scrambled. I could have got up. I used to be tougher. I used to want it more. I used to have more grit, and I just felt like maybe I fired my last bullet. I didn't have that same grit. And it's time to move on.
I mean, I don't think anyone could question your toughness after that knee you took in the first round.
That was a hard knee.
It was very loud from where we could hear it. I mean, how hurt were you? Did you recover, you know, fully going into that second round, or how sketchy was it at that point?
Well, and see, it's funny what you tell yourself in those situations, but I thought there was major opportunity going to the second round. I thought that he was fading, that he really went for everything for the finish in the first round. And maybe I'm right. I don't know. I don't know. But I thought I can come out. I can win these next 2 rounds, and I took another one of those knees, and now I'm underneath again, and it was just a tough spot. It, you know, kind of went from bad to worse. He's very hard to deal with on his feet. So it was just one of those matches. It was very tough, but somewhere in there, I think I forgot your question, but the referee said to me when the fight was over, he said, Chael, I was trying to help you. I said, what took you so long? He said, are you going to retire? I said, I retired 3 minutes ago. I don't even know why I went to the second round here. So I think when you feel like that, even if it's for a moment, you got to go.
And just last thing for me for now, you know, in my mind, you should have that WEC belt. There's an asterisk there, but we spoke pre-fight about, you know, you said if you don't win a world title, you're not retiring, you're quitting. Can you reflect on that statement now that, you know, you have walked away?
Yeah, I'm quitting. I'm quitting the sport. I tried to win the world championship. I worked really hard for a really long time, and it didn't come from me.
Hey, Chael.
What's up, Phoenix?
I forgive you for all the things you say about New York.
I
totally
appreciate
forgive
that.
you.
Thank you for that.
I want to, again, congratulate you for an excellent career.
Thank you.
You fought anybody and you entertained everybody. When now looking back, you had talked so much this last couple of weeks about you never looked back and had any fun, but to us, you were always so much fun. So when you think about the fun aspect of it, even losing tonight, can you say that there were moments going into this that you enjoyed?
Well, that's a tremendous compliment. Yeah, I have no regrets on my career. Even tonight, you know, if I knew what was going to happen, I'd still walk out there and do it. And yeah, I didn't have any regrets. It was one of those things, you know, kind of like middle school. You had good days and bad, but I only remember the good. I only remember the good days. And that's really how this sport is. I had a great experience here. You know, Scott Coker gave me an opportunity at a time when I really needed an opportunity. And you know, I had all sorts of deals with Scott Coker, and some of them we never even wrote down. And he honored his word through the end, and I owed him one more fight, and that was tonight, and I wanted to honor my side of it too. And I thought I could beat Machida.
How will you stay busy?
Well, yeah, I got two little maniacs now, and you know, so largely I'll be the chauffeur. They'll decide what they want to do, and I'll get them to and from their events. But I'm looking forward to that. I think I'll probably be a little bit bored, quite frankly. I hate days off. If there's anything I hate, it's a day off. But I need to find something to fill my time for sure.
My last question for you is that you've always been so great and analytical when it comes to looking at fights. Now that you've been in there with Machida, if you look at Machida and Bader, how do you see that going?
Yeah, that's interesting. And don't forget, they already fought once. You know, Machida got the jump on him, but it was largely because Bader charged in. You know, I was rough on Bader leading into this week, but I thought I had something going with him. Ryan Bader's a tremendous fighter, and I don't think that I need to say that. He's got 2 world championships. But a fight between, I hope that Bader fights Machida. You know, he's got 2 options to go up to heavyweight, but I really think there's some major opportunity to draw and have some excitement there. And I think Machida was up against it tonight a little bit. He's a 185-pounder. He had to move up. He was the #1 contender. Now he has moved. I think he was in a really tough spot. He performed well. He should be proud.
Chael, Sean Hubbard, how you doing?
Of course.
In Madison Square Garden, when you fought tonight, you showed the world a lot of what we already know, your toughness, your grace in defeat, and then you retired. And Madison Square Garden gave you basically a heroic response, and basically was like a gasp followed by a ovation. How'd you feel about how the crowd responded to your announcement, especially considering the fact you've been a legend all this time and now you're going to move on to something new?
Well, thank you. That's very sweet. And yeah, they were amazing. Madison Square Garden was amazing. The whole card was amazing, you know, from top to bottom. I look at some of these guys, you know, Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico's a much better fighter than I am. And you know, he's paying his dues. It's just a rough business. It's one of those things. You know, the basketball championships just ended. The team that won it lost 3 games in the last 3 weeks. If you do that in fighting, you're bum. You're done. It's over. And it's just something unique about this sport. It's something that's unfair about this sport, that you have so much lag time in between getting to, you know, dust yourself off and try to do it again. So Madison Square Garden was wonderful, and the whole card was. I loved how it ended. I loved that we're the greatest fight in Bellator history is Lima versus Rory, and now we're going to see it again.
Josh. Hey, Chael. Chael.
Hey, what's up, Josh?
Do you feel you left a mark on this sport? And if you did, what is it?
No, not necessarily. I think that maybe I helped us get over to the entertainment era that we're in right now, and you know, for better or worse. But I think I had a hand in that. But I don't know about a mark necessarily. I think maybe if I was to be remembered, I was very proud of the way my career started and the guys that I had to look up to, and they were true tough guys. They were legitimate tough guys. I had my 6th fight before I even saw a scale, and I mean, we didn't worry about who you were fighting. You didn't need a bunch of money or attention or anything else. You just wanted to compete. And, you know, I really like the competitors that we have in the sport, but I think they're a little fewer and far between. And if there was something that I could pass to the locker rooms, it would be to go back to that competitive era. Guys that want to do it, that enjoy the sport, they just want to see who's the best.
Along those lines, a big deal tonight about co-promotion and promoters working together. You, for so long, were the company man. That's how people perceived you about the UFC, and you came over here in the same way. But these companies promoting against each other, what do you think of that idea? Is that meaningful for you? Is the idea of competing in mixed martial arts? What can that do for the sport?
The co-promote? Yeah. Oh, Josh, wouldn't that be fun? If we could all just start doing something. I mean, they've been doing it for boxing for the longest time, and I don't know what's going to be the real holdup for MMA. I think that, you know, Coker and Sakakibara really have something special here. I hope it continues, but I'm a huge fan. That's how my career started. That's how my career will end, is just purely as a fan. And man, that's fun. I love that parody. I assume you're the same way, right? It's great parody.
I want to see the best.
Yeah, I want to see the best.
Thank you.
Chael, just one more from me. You mentioned the analyst role, fatherhood, but any possibility of you resuming your political career?
Oh, maybe. You know, I have a lot of fantasies. I have also, and that is a fantasy of mine. But no, for now, you know, I'm starting to promote some grappling events and having some fun with that. And but I need a minute, man. This is hard for me. I mean, this is a sport and a game, and I was very fortunate to play a game as an adult. Games for kids in large part. I was very fortunate, and but I don't feel that right now. I feel sorry for myself. It's hard. It's a hard night for me. Putting on my game face, but it is a hard night for me. I thought I would beat Machida. I wanted to beat Machida for Randy and Dan and, you know, these guys that I looked up to, and I'll tell you, he was so elusive. He keeps so much space, and then he closes it so fast. Hard fight. It's a hard fight.
Brad. Hey, Chael. To your left.
Thank you. Oh, hey, Brad.
Congratulations on a great career. What was the experience like having your kids in the arena tonight?
That was fun. Yeah, that was fun. I believe Father's Day is Sunday. I didn't even know that. I've been so enveloped in myself. But it's very fun. And then we're going to go out to London to call the Bellator next weekend. So we're all going as a family. The grandparents and my wife, I think there's 7 or 8 of us in the crew. But yeah, it was fun having them there. You know, it's also a little bit nerve-wracking because they haven't seen it, you know, when Dad's in a fight in the middle of a cage, half naked in New York City. There's some discussions you got to have, right? There's still a maturity to this. I understand it, but I can't just expect them to. We got to talk a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, what are some of the bullet points that you explained to them before they came and watched tonight?
Well, a lot of it happened after the fight. My son was reminding me that I lost, that Machida was on top of you, Dad, punching you. He said he was very scared. I said, well, son, it's a two-man sport. We can't just give it and not be willing to take it. We tip our hat, walk away, we come back again.
Chael, one more question for you, and I apologize if this is a difficult one, but you wrote that great piece on ESPN, and you're talking about how you made that promise to your father, and I'm just wondering if you could have a conversation with your dad right now, what do you think he'd say to you?
I just tell him I tried.
Chael, you had a legendary career. Looking back, what do you think is your favorite moment, if any?
Well, let's see. I had a lot of fun in the build-up to Anderson Silva. I had a lot of fun tonight. I had a lot of fun coming to New York and doing this. Favorite moment would be really tough. Actually, my favorite moment would have been as a fan. You know, it was the night Randy Couture beat Tim Sylvia. I'd already looked up the hospital in Vegas so I could send Randy flowers. I was sure that was where he was going to be. And he put the big guy down in about 9 seconds and stayed on him for the next 24.5 minutes, and that was probably one of the more memorable moments for me.
And, you know, I think you're a success story. This is a very tough business, and you're a success story from all angles. If you could give any advice to any young athletes that are coming up, what would it be?
I would tell them to get a coach who you trust and go to practice every day. You can just get 1 degree better every single day. But it's really who can stay in it the longest and who can be the most consistent is what I've seen. Later, we were just discussing what a controversial decision that was, how that was a real back-and-forth battle that we were in the middle of when the referee, for some odd reason, pulled you off me. That's what I would say. Yeah, get a coach that you trust. And go every single day. And it's hard to do. It's very hard to do. There's a lot of excuses, 100 reasons why you don't want to go to practice every day. You got to find that one reason to get in the car. Be my advice.
Thank you, Chael, and congrats.
Thank you, guys. I've had it with you all. Are we done? Yes. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thank you.
Leo, on your left here on the other side of the podium, congratulations on the victory tonight. Were you surprised that that flying knee in the first round didn't stop Chael? That seemed very, very powerful.
So I was very surprised because he could take all my punches on the ground, and I was expecting for the referee to stop the fight, but he didn't that. But actually, Chael is a very tough opponent.
Yeah, and was that more or less the game plan coming in? You felt like timing his takedowns, going for the knees was going to be something very effective for you?
Definitely was my game plan to wait for the right moment. But I didn't know, I didn't expect Chael comes too much. So he came so fast and too much up to me, so I couldn't control the distance right away. But as soon as I feel the right timing, I threw my knee and I could hit him strong.
And Chael said that coming in, he didn't know he would be retiring from MMA tonight, but this has been a familiar scene for you. You've retired Randy Couture, you've retired Vitor Belfort. What's kind of your emotion when you defeat these fighters, knock them out, and then see them walk away from the sport?
So, to be honest, I don't think anything about it but I feel it's an honor for me to be a part of his history and to share the cage with Chael Sonnen, Randy Couture, Vitor Belfort, because I consider those guys are a legend in this sport, and to be a part of their story, for me, it's I'm so grateful for that.
Lyoto, right here, over here. So, you know, in your first fight with Carvalho here in Bellator, you struggled a bit, but you did get the job done. Do you feel like this performance is a statement saying that I've arrived here?
For sure, for sure. This performance was amazing. The first fight in Bellator in December in Hawaii, but I felt like a kind of pressure because it was my first fight in the Bellator cage. Once you move to another event, it's kind of natural. You feel the pressure, and the pressure can come. You have to control everything. Even though I have a lot of fights under my belt, but as a human being, you feel the difference.
And you know, now that you've sensed or you felt how Sonnen was in there, do you think that he did make the right decision to retire tonight?
It's up to him. No, it's hard to say anything about that because you gotta respect the time of everyone. So if Chael thinks that he has to retire, so we just have to respect his decision and appreciate where he has been doing for the sport, and what he is considered one of the legend in this sport. So we gotta respect that.
And how are you feeling right now in terms of weight class, or does it not matter to you? Would you rather, you know, move back down to middleweight, maybe challenge Gegard Mousasi in the future, or would you go for Ryan Bader when he comes back to the light heavyweight division?
I'm pretty open for that. So I have to confess that in 205, I felt really good because back in the days I already fought in 205. I was former champion in 205, and in order to not cut weight, for me it's much better, but I'm pretty open. Which comes first, I'll be ready.
Lyoto, if this chapter of your career had a title, what would it be called?
I'm sorry?
If this chapter of your career had a title, what would it be?
So it will be amazing because I'll feel so accomplished if that happened, man. Because, you know, at this age, 41 years old, I still can fight in a high performance with young athletes. And mixed martial arts is a very tough sport. So in order to be in a high performance, so you have to dedicate yourself. You have to be very devoted to your training. And for me, I feel so proud of that.
Thank you.
With Bellator and RIZIN having a co-promotion, is fighting in Japan representing Bellator on a RIZIN card something that would interest you?
Definitely, definitely. Japan, my father is a Japanese guy, so I already fought in Japan back in the days. To have another chance to fight in Japan, so it will be amazing for me, and I'll be so happy and grateful for that opportunity.
Hi, Lyoto. Karate, you have been synonymous with that martial art for many, many years, and it seems that in a lot of ways it's making a comeback, or that people are learning more how to adapt karate for MMA. Can you talk a little bit about having that Bushido spirit and taking karate into MMA, and any trends that you see that are happening with that particular art in the sport?
So I cannot be more happy than see karate back in this sport and have the respect that the karate deserve. And so many people nowadays are looking for karate to improve their technique. So tonight we saw Horiguchi got the belt from Bellator. He's from karate as well, and I feel I'm a part of that, you know. And if I can push more this sport through my karate, so it will be amazing, because karate one of the most has the most practitioners in martial arts. So karate is one of the highest in number.
Lyoto, I know you want to fight for a title, but Scott just mentioned FEDOR. He's a legend. You fought a bunch of legends. You used to fight in open weight when you first started your career. Any chance you jump at the opportunity, move up to heavyweight, and go against FEDOR?
So I'm so focused now in get this belt. So I wanna become a Bellator champion. But you never know in the future, man, because I like to challenge myself. It will be a hard task for me, for sure, definitely. But I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
Just one more for me, Lyoto. I know you said you're open to doing either title fight, but who do you've beaten Ryan Bader, you've beaten Mousasi. Who's the more difficult fight for you, you think, right now?
So we fought, when I fought both of them, so it was a couple years ago. So I recognize that they improved a lot. They changed a little bit their game. So every fight has their particular way to go. So I believe it's hard to say now who's going to be the tough one, but we'll see.
Who's been more impressive to you? Bader has won titles in 2 divisions. Mousasi's fighting next weekend. Who do you think is, you know, the one that would do more for your career?
So Bader did a great job in the heavyweight division. So he could beat FEDOR, one of the biggest names in this sport. I was impressed with that. But I would like to fight both in different times, and I consider Bader now the name that everybody wants to face him.
Any final questions? Congratulations. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all my fans, and thank you, Madison Square Garden, to have me here for this opportunity.
Congratulations.
Rory, here. Congrats on your victory.
Thank you.
You had a lot of questions after your John Fitch bout, whether or not you still wanted to continue in the sport. Now that you fought again, you know, you entered this fight with a lot of confidence. But did you confirm anything in there? How'd you feel in there?
Yeah, I felt good. I felt like my skills were sharp, and yeah, no, everything. It was like pure competition, and I was focused, and everything was good.
How annoying and how difficult was, you know, leading up to this fight, dealing with all those questions from the media about like whether you were still in it or not?
I mean, I kind of brought it on myself, so I can't complain.
Do you regret making those comments or no?
I don't like regret totally. I just wish I worded it maybe a little differently, but when you just get out of a fight and you have emotions and a million thoughts going, you just kind of like spew it out, and it comes out the way it does. And I'm not like that great with my words, so it came out the way it did, and you know, that's it.
And how'd you feel? You know, you fought an extremely very good grappler, Neiman Gracie. Obviously, he had you in some submissions, attacks. How'd you feel like your jiu-jitsu fared against his? Because you also had him in some trouble as well on the ground.
I felt fine. He's quick. Like his hips are fast. I knew I couldn't like overextend a lot of my ground and pound shots with like I could with most guys, where I could kind of sway left to right with punches. I really had to stay balanced with my shots, because he could take my back, he could hip out and get arm locks, triangles. So I really had to be a little bit conservative on top.
but I felt pretty good. I mean, I honestly, I think I dominated the ground besides his submission attempts.
Rory, what kind of confidence does that give you, though, going forward? I mean, you just went toe-to-toe with the Gracie for 5 rounds, largely grappling in a fight, and came out on the winning end pretty decisively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's quite an honor to fight a Gracie. I mean, they have a huge legacy, their family, so I was honored to fight them, especially here in Madison Square Garden. He's a nice guy, gentleman, and you know, he's a true talent. Especially, he only had 9 fights, and he's fighting on this stage for a world title. He did a great job, and yeah, it was a good fight.
How's your health right now? Do you feel, you know, like some of those leg locks seem like, you know, he's wrenching legs and stuff, but you're good?
No, I'm good. I actually hurt myself more than he hurt me, really. When I hurt my elbow in John Fitch, so when I would do something, I would kind of re-aggravate it, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. But I have to take some time and heal some things up after back-to-back fights and training camps.
Was that the injury you had referenced to your corner after the first round?
No, that was kind of at the end of the fight, actually. But he kicked me in. He got a good kick in on my shin. But besides that, I'm okay.
Cool. And then the fight ends, and Douglas Lima gets in there, and you guys seem pretty friendly towards each other. What were you saying?
Just chatting. I like Douglas. He's a nice guy. He's a fellow Christian, and I get along with him great. I mean, we're sportsmen, and I have nothing bad to say about him.
And Scott had said that it seems like maybe September would be the targeted timeline to do this final. You just did back-to-back fights. It seems like, you know, you got a couple things to do. Does that timeline seem realistic for you, or do you think you might need a little more?
Yeah, it's not realistic for me. I mean, I wish I could make it come true. I had a feeling they would want that, but it's just not possible with what's going on in my life right now, and the amount of I need to take some time to heal from these fights, from these training camps, so I could be ready for a guy like Douglas.
And you got another kid on the way, right?
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, it's you know, if maybe for some people they structure things differently in their house, but for my lifestyle, you know, me and my wife we're a team, and we work together. So, you know, we need to adjust with this new addition in our lives, take some time, and then we can gather ourselves and get prepared for a training camp. You know, doing that while just having a new child, I think that would be a little much. You know, just stress-wise and organization, and it's just too quick too. It's like too much of a rebound for me to be taking on a competitor like Douglas.
And just last thing for me, that is the fight, though, that's going to happen for your next fight. How will the rematch with Douglas look different from the first fight?
Well, hopefully a lot less shin kicks. That's what I'm thinking. But you know, I want to go in there and I want to finish him. You know, it's been a while, it seems like, since I got a finish. So I'll be looking to, you know, bring it to him.
Obviously, Douglas Lima being your next opponent. The thoughts of that fight now, how is that with your mindset? Is that something you're really looking forward to, or is it something that makes you very anxious?
I didn't catch what you said. Something?
Sorry, I said with Douglas Lima being your next opponent, and with everything you've gone through in the build-up to this fight, does the thought of that fight get you excited? Does it make you anxious? How do you feel about that going forward?
Well, yeah, I don't feel surprised that I'm fighting Douglas. You know, I knew he was a strong competitor when I was up against him, and I knew we would be matched up again down the road. So it's not a surprise I'm gonna meet him. So I know I'm gonna need to be at my best, mentally, physically, and I need to be I need to come into that fight with an iron will again. I think that's very important to go to have fighting a guy like that. I need to be like a tiger, because with a hard-hitting, tough guy with skill, you need to go through peaks and valleys in a fight, emotional, and just push through them. You need to have a strong will. So that's one thing I'll need to be prepared for.
Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you're a Christian, as am I. I wanted to ask you a question about your faith as it pertains to the fighting game.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that you are a Christian and a person of faith, how does that tie in when it comes to the fighting aspect? Obviously, you're able to do both. You're able to carry your faith and believe in what you believe, as do I. But when you're in there, it's a tough sport and you're trying to hurt the other guy. How do you balance that and make sure that you come out on the other side, just continuing to believe in what you believe in?
Well, I'm not struggling with that anymore. I have complete clarity that God gave me these skills and this platform. He took me from a scrawny kid in a low place and brought me up in the martial arts and in the fight game since I was 16 years old, and built me up to put me on this big stage, and I get to testify what the Lord has done in my life. So I think that's a really positive thing, that maybe I could reach an audience that maybe wouldn't be reached, in the fight world, about how good God is when you give your heart to Him.
As a fellow Christian, I commend you for that. Moving back into the fight aspect, now that you've won this fight, you're still the welterweight champion moving forward in the Grand Prix tournament. You're going to obviously try and win the tournament. How do you think you stand as it pertains to being the best welterweight in all of MMA?
Well, I think I'm up there. I mean, it's one of those divisions there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of tough guys, and the belt it switches hands pretty often, on a global scale. There's a lot of great guys, but it's an honor to be competing at the top amongst all of them.
Rory, hi, Phoenix Carnivale. Worked with you many years ago. You had taught a seminar, and you were very young and extremely mature, even at that age, just talking about positional awareness. And now, years later, watching you tonight, it was such a huge factor in every single thing that you did, in every single submission that you got out of. And I think every jiu-jitsu class should watch tonight's fight. What is the actual training camps for you like? Do you do positional awareness? Is that a main part of how you train?
Yeah, I mean, it becomes kind of second nature when you're training all the time. But when you're dealing with a submission artist, you want to keep your limbs in, because that's what he wants to attack. He wants to or get around to your back. So you got to keep your limbs close, or else they're going to take it. And he almost did a couple of times. But yeah, it's definitely that old saying, position before submission. Position is very key in fighting. So definitely had to be pretty safe and
alert.
Safe in a lot of positions that maybe I could take more chances with other guys. But he's quick. He's got good hips, and he's quite fast off his back.
When you particularly rate this performance, is there anything that you maybe wish that you had have done or gone for yourself? Obviously looking back, I feel I wish I could have pulled the trigger on the stand-up a little more, but his timing was kind of freaking me out a little bit. I wasn't used to it. Just kind of had this weird slow fast strange style. I wasn't really used to timing, so that's one thing I think I could have improved on.
Last question, Josh.
Hey, Rory, congratulations. So September is not in the timetable. When do you think you would be ready?
December, maybe November.
Did you prove anything to yourself tonight off of the Fitch result and all the discussion that came after that? Did you prove anything to yourself tonight?
Yeah, I just feel like everything, like I felt like after I prayed and spent some time to apply fighting to my all the new changes in my life, I just feel like, yeah, like it's true. Like I don't need to like struggle with that. I can continue with how great life has changed and move and apply that to my career, and yeah, just be happy doing it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, one more.
Oh, okay, one more.
Sorry.
Sorry, Rory. You said something that was pretty interesting to me that I was hoping you could follow up on. And when you were talking about preparing for Lima and knowing that a fight like that will have peaks and valleys and that you have to have an iron will, I mean, how do you go about making sure that you have an iron will going into a fight like that?
It's like, it's when you're training every day, you have to kind of have the eye of the tiger. It's like eat, sleep, like you got to be like chewing on steel, you know, kind of thing for, 6 weeks, and it hardens your body, it hardens your mind. So I don't know, something about that just gets you in that mind frame of being able to push through certain low points. Whereas if you were just kind of training so-so, in good shape, you might slack off a little bit.
Is it possible to even get that for every fight, or do you have to pick your spots? Because if you get that for every fight, then you'll have a 2-year career.
I wish I had an iron will every fight. Sometimes I haven't, but I'd say for most of my career, I've been pretty strong-minded and focused and trained properly.
Is that something that when you think about having to go through a training camp like that, is it something that you get like what motivates you to do it at this point?
The training?
Well, it's that kind of camp, to be chewing on steel, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of becomes an enjoyment. Like, once you get into that zone, it actually feels pretty good. I don't know. It's like kind of like you feel it inside of you. You feel hungry. You feel like a tiger, It feels good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.